Thank you.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you.
Back down. Oops.
Oops. Oh.
Sorry.
Leela.
We do have, and then Leela, well, we have this Leela and then Royana and Saad, but actually, I hadn't noticed, Leela had texted me and because we do actually have a couple new people here.
Oh.
So, as you say, we have our old timers and our new people. If anybody here is new and would like to ask a question, please feel free to raise your hand. We haven't, well, we didn't have the last one, so it has been a while since anybody has had a chance to do the Tuesday questions, but we had been trying to kind of prioritize, allow some new people to get in as well. But
yeah, and it's also just if you're new and you would just like to say hi and you just would like to try, you know, yourself out. You might not have like a lot of things that you want to say, but you just want to try out how it is to be in the seat where everybody's looking at you and you don't have anything to say and you just want to try that, then you're welcome to raise your hand and just we will skip you in front of the line in front of all the old people and then you can ask your question or just sit if you would like that. You're also free to not raise your hand and not say anything if you just want to sit without your camera on and without your microphone on and not ask any questions. You're more than welcome to that. We're not putting anybody on the spot unless they would like to. But if you want to be on the spot, just raise your hand.
And if you want to ask a question that you would like not to be recorded, just let us know and we can pause the recording while you talk.
Yes.
In the meantime, we've got Leela. Hello.
Hi. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. The thing that's up right now is activism, and my for years unwillingness to engage because it's so easy to get egoic around being right.
Absolutely.
And I was thinking, well, if I just got to a certain point in my evolution, then it would be safe for me to be an activist. That's probably never going to happen. So, and the issue that's most pressing for me is trees and stopping clear cuts. And I live in a place where you can't go anywhere without seeing one if you go out of town. Even in town, you can see a hill from town and see that it's been denuded. And I wasn't here last Friday because I went to speak at the university about it. But anyway, I've been watching a guy who's trying to create a community around doing something. We have a forestry school here that's really well known. And some of the people who've done the research showing just how devastating clear cutting is graduated from that university. But the university is still just in line with the logging interests. So sorry about all the story, but so I've been watching the guy who's been doing the most, who's done the most work to try to shift the logging, the logging school, the direction that they're going to sustainable forestry. And it's really taken a toll on them because you can't go around being angry and depressed all the time.
No.
So, so there's that hesitation of, there's this fear that I will end up being angry and depressed. So far, I seem to be doing okay. But when I went, I'm looking at when people go to speak at these hearings, how nervous we all are. Or, well, actually, I'm not as nervous as I used to be. I used to write everything out and try to present a compelling argument. And now I don't anymore. I refuse to prepare. I go up and I say what I say. try to make kind of one point, for it not to be something that drags me down or that I spin a lot in my head about it. So I don't want to spin about it. So, um, yeah, being able, I can see that there's a real potential to make a difference right here where I am now, this part of the country. And I'm disappointed that I'm not seeing a lot of people showing up at these hearings. And I'm guessing that, I know we are all devastated when we look at a clear cut. There's just this visceral feeling. And every time I see a logging truck go by, I used to be just devastated, with all those dead bodies on it. But now I just do a little part of the loving kindness practice to the earth and may the trees be happy becoming whatever they're becoming, and may the earth be healed. And that's how I deal with seeing a logging truck almost every day. I guess it's, yeah, wanting to do a little more and not go into negativity about it, or maybe
The
just
first,
supporting
yeah,
those.
the first thing you need to do is to heal that way. You
Yeah.
need to heal yourself first. So you need to find out if
Mhm,
we remove the logging,
mhm,
if we remove that, what is the logging a symbol of? What is it that needs healing in you? I mean, for you, you were a vegan activist where you had memorized everything, and that was really speaking for the voiceless. For you, it was, can I be that blunt again? But for you, it was about healing the parts of your life where you were voiceless, where you were in the bottom of the peg order, and you had to obey to what was thrown your way, and that was what needed healing.
Absolutely.
But instead of healing this way, because that feels icky, then it's much easier to go out on the street. Instead of doing second fetter, we do 4th and 5th fetter. So it's being a voice for the voiceless.
mhm,
Instead of looking at second fetter, it's here the voiceless is. The voiceless was here. There's healing here that needs. So you need to first find out the logging industry and all the activism is 4th and 5th fetter. What is it second fetter in you? What is it that needs healing in you, where the logging industry is just a symbol? It's pointing to a part of you, symbolizing a part of you that needs healing. That's the first thing you need to be aware of. Because you can't send loving kindness to them and the trees and the logging industry and the billionaires that don't give a shit because they want money. You can't send love that direction if there's something here that is not healed. Then it's conditional.
mhm.
And that's the recipe for burnout.
Yeah.
Like what you talk about. That poor guy that you talk about that has done so much. If he started by healing this way, then he could be in his activism. It would come from a different place. He would be the adult in the room that has healed the child that needs healing, which means that he would have compassion for all the implicated parts in it.
I'm drawing a blank. I can't imagine what it is. I mean, what I see is devastation. um,
And then you start to cough, which means that there's something that you don't feel safe talking about, which is
wow.
okay. Write it down, write all the things down about the logging industry. What is it? It's devastation, it's disrespect to the planet, write all of it down. And then
Mhm,
say, okay, there's a part of me that had an experience in my life where I felt devastated, where I felt, what was the other part I said? Disrespect. Not towards the planet, but towards me.
Okay.
So you turn it that way, and every time you start to talk about it and you start to cough, you need to tell yourself, this is safe to talk about. It's safe to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. And if there's a fear of that, eventual engagement causing anger and burnout in that regard, it's really relevant to keep in mind that that anger is always a deflection from feeling something else. So that guy being, you know, like being in that constant state of anger and disgust and revulsion is
Diversion.
yeah, it's a diversion, but it's calling for you to look into what is that propelling you to do this to begin with. That if you're, you know, like you said, there's how is it related to something in you, but also like being very, very specific about what exactly the emotion is that you get when you see that devastation. Like, why is it for you that seeing a clear-cut patch of land provides that emotion that comes up that it doesn't do to a person sitting next to you? That's just like, oh, they're going to build some new houses. Oh, it'd be nice to have a shopping mall there. Like, for some people, it's completely not even on the radar. So, what specifically is it about your experience that makes that into an emotional event that has some resonance for you? And then feeling that, like really feeling what is happening in the body when you see that. And also noticing, does this have threads in like helplessness, in that vulnerability of where some massive conglomerate just keeps going and bulldozing the planet, and there's not enough people doing anything to stop it. I'm doing it, but there's, nobody else. Do you feel that sense of powerlessness and smallness and all of those things that can be underneath that? And that's really where that anger and burnout comes from, because it's like, it's not really about the trees. That's on one level, but below that, that anger is because you can't feel powerless and vulnerable and helpless and all of that for that many years without having negative repercussions. And so we deflect by it by, but it's those bastards, and like really getting angry, and it just becomes this toxic cycle because you're never really meeting that that feeling underneath, where you can still, if you can come to terms with that powerlessness and do the work like you said to start healing those things that need to be healed, then you can still do the activism and you can be more effective because you have less of that attachment where it's a more about me and less about the trees. It starts to turn the other way around. And it's like, okay, I can do all the work, but there's still a freedom here that can move and be reasonable and speak in, like you said, there's less nervousness, the less ego that is involved in our activism, the more effective we are, because we're not speaking from that place of self-defensiveness or self-fear and
For us to feel
self-protection.
better. Yeah.
Exactly. And you can really be available in a way that's different and more available to hear other sides, not get immediately reactive about it, but then also to debate and to present your facts in a more even-handed manner, which can be more powerful and influential than that fists back and forth at each other. So activism is great, but it's really coming to terms with exactly what it is about the activism that is, or that particular issue that is making you want to be active. And then why is it so potent and uncomfortable as opposed to just being something that seems like the right thing to do for whatever reason.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Mm.